I'm going to show you how to change sprockets and chain on a Suzuki GSXR 750. First thing you're going to need is you're going to need a rear paddock stand. I got this one from Harbor Freight for like 35, 40 bucks. It's actually really nice, and I didn't have to pay $200 for it. So once you get the bike on a rear stand, you're going to want to take the fairings off. And they're just held on by Allen keys on both sides, about 4 each side. You got 3 small ones up here and then a couple in here. And then once you get the fairings out of the way, you want to pull it down. And you gotta get both sides because you gotta pull it down. You want to get this front sprocket knot. So that is held on by an 1.25" bolt. So you'll need an 1.25" socket to get that off. It can be on there pretty tight. So what you want to do is make sure the chain's on. You have someone stand on the rear brake. So when you use a breaker bar, you can get it off. Or what I just used an impact. I got an electric impact from Harbor Freight. It just came right off. So before you can get that off though, there's another nut right here. It's a hex key nut or an Allen key, and it sits right in there. So that's where that goes. I think you got to take that off first before you want it. I got to tighten it, so yeah, you want to take this little bolt off, this little hex key bolt, and then you want to use an 1.25" socket to get off the front sprocket nut. Once that's off, you can pull the front sprocket off. Then you move to the rear sprocket. So here, it's a little more involved. Got a big axle nut here. There's supposed to be a cotter pin. I don't have it put in yet, but you can pull one in. To get this off, you're going to need a 36mm socket. I just picked this one up at Home Depot. So you're going to want to take the cotter pin out first, take out this nut, and then you got these chain alignment tools right here. That's what these bolts are. These bolts are to align the chain. As you can see, there's marks, right? So you can remember where those marks are at. This one's on the 6th one from the right. You can only see 5, but it's hanging on the big 6 one. The other side has it too. So when you take off this nut, these are going to fall off. And then you can pull this axle, this rear axle, this way. And if it's not coming out, just take a rubber mallet and hit it out from the other side towards this way. Also, when you take it out, the rear brake is fed through the hole for the rear axle. So your rear brake's going to fall off, which is no big deal. There's also some wheel spacers in there. I don't know if you can see it, but one of them has a lip in here. So you want the one with the lip to be on the right side. And there's another one on the left side that you can see right in there. And that one doesn't have a lip, and that one can go on the left side. So once you have those off, the wheel should be free. You can pull the wheel off and take the chain off, provided your chain's already off. My chain was off because it snapped, and I'll go into that in more detail. And then when you take the rear sprocket off, you have 5 of these bolts. I forgot, I think these are like 14mm. They're not on there that tight, but I just took an impact and got them off. Then you can open it up under there and make sure it's greased, and put the new sprocket on. And make sure everything fits. So once you have the new rear sprocket on, you're going to want to do the same thing. You're going to want to tighten these sprocket bolts. You want to do everything in reverse. So tighten these sprocket bolts first. Put the wheel bearings in the wheels before you line it up. This is going to be probably a two-person job because the hard part is getting this lined up and getting the brake caliper to fit in between the wheel spacer here and the swing arm. These are probably going to fall out too, so you're going to want to make sure you put these in before you get the bar through. When you finally get these in, the bar is going to show some resistance. You know, you can put it in to start it so it holds the wheel in place, and then you're going to realize it's not going to go anymore. So just take a rubber mallet and hit it through, and it'll stop, and then you can adjust this side, and then it'll come through. Once it's through, want to put the other adjuster in here. Like I said, make sure both adjusting marks are matched up. That way your wheel is straight and not going to wear unevenly. Then you can put your front sprocket on. Alright, so to install the chain, this is the hardest part. Now, most chains come incomplete, meaning they're not attached. So you have to attach them. And to do that, you need a master link, which always comes with the chain, or at least it should come with the chain, and an O-ring kit with some grease. So I bought my chain and sprockets together. It's a Vortex Racing, I think V3 is what they are. They're really high quality. I got them through Cycle Gear. I think they're under $150. So it's a good quality chain. So what you have to do is feed the chain once you're all done, and before you attach everything and tighten everything, you're going to want to feed the chain through around the front sprocket, feed around the rear sprocket, and then let the both ends hang here, because then you can attach your link. So your little master link, you can tell which one your master link is too, because all these are riveted. This one's the only different one here too. So that's your master link right there. So what you want to do is your master link goes behind here, and you're going to have two holes that are going to push through here, and then they're going to come out this end, and then you're going to rivet this end with a chain tool. So essentially you need to get a chain tool where you can break the chain and install the chain. Cycle Gear has these as well. They're like 30 bucks. You can get more expensive ones, but mine was a $30 one and it worked fine. So what you do is you take your master link, and it's going to have O-rings on it. Take your master link, put O-rings on it, and then feed it through, because you want O-rings on this side, in between here. You're going to want to feed it through again, and you want to put another set of O-rings right here with some grease that comes with it. So you can kind of see that white grease, and then this plate also comes with it, and you can put this plate on once you have the grease on. Once you have this plate on, take your chain tool, press it from behind here, and line up the chain tool with the holes here, and tighten it with a wrench until these holes pop through, or these pins pop through. And then you want to take the riveting tool and rivet these holes just enough so that they expand, so that the pins don't fall through. And as you can see, if it focuses, they're expanded a little bit, but I didn't expand them too much. You don't want to hit them too much, because if you hit them too much, you're going to flatten them and then you're going to ruin the master link and you're going to have to start all over. And you're not going to want to do that, because this takes some time and this takes patience, and you're going to be pretty pissed if you fuck it up. So don't over tighten these. Just tighten it enough. It's barely going to be noticeable, but it's going to be a slight dimple. And then once you have your chain on, you're going to want to check your tension. You know, this one has enough tension. It might actually have too much tension. And if it's got too much tension, then what you can do is you can adjust these to have this slide that way, and it'll give you a little more slack on the chain. Once your front sprocket's on, you can tighten it. Tighten that nut. The front axle nut should be tightened to, I believe it's 83.5 foot-pounds of torque. So if you need someone to stand on the brake to tighten it, make sure you use a torque wrench. The wheel still might spin. So what I did is I put a piece of 2x4 through the wheel to hit the swing arm, so when it spun, it would rest against the swing arm and have pressure, and then I could finally get it to tighten. So once the front axle nut's in, you want to put this little nut in again, this little hex key. Like I said, I know it's loose, I got to tighten it still. Then once that's done, you can put your rear axle nut on. Remember, this is 36 millimeters. So you're going to want to tighten that, or torque that down to, I think, 72.5 foot-pounds per the owner's manual. The whole reason I'm doing this job, because I was riding the other day and I had a pair of shorts fly out of my book bag and get sucked up by my chain, and they were wrapped around the front sprocket. So that is the aftermath of my shorts that I had to pull out of my sprocket. And I'll show you some pictures here of what it looked like when I pull it out. You can see it's all ripped to shit from the chain. Once you're done with that, make sure everything's tight. Put your cover on here with the 4 bolts, and then you can put your fairings back on. And then once you have your fairings back on both sides, bolt them up with the Allen keys. Take it off the rear stand, and then go on a test ride, and you should be good. Now, this is a 2004 GSXR 750. It should work for other model years and other CCs of bikes. I'm sure it works for 600 and a 1000, but I'm not sure what years. Some of them are set up differently with the shifter, but it's pretty much a straightforward process. I mean, if you have basic hand tools and a knowledge, like a nice little socket set like this and a little air impact, you can do this in a couple days. This won't take long. But it's definitely going to save you some money, because I'm only under, I think I'm in this for $150. You would get this done at a shop for about 500 bucks plus transportation of getting your bike there. So it's worth it to do it yourself. These stands are cheap and they're nice for maintenance purposes. You can get them pretty much anywhere, and they're cheap, and it's nice because in the wintertime you can use it for storage as well. So working on a bike is a lot easier than working on a car, but it's pretty straightforward. And then once you have your new chain and sprockets on, you can give it a test ride and you're done.